Hi, everybody. It's Captain Canada. Welcome back. Today, we're going to continue with listening to Jonathan and Quinn talking about what it is to be 19, I guess, and about their podcast and etc. Now, I do owe an apology to Jonathan. I have been spelling his name wrong, so I do apologize, Jonathan. I'm sincerely sorry because I hate it when people get my name wrong. So I really do apologize for that. To the rest of you, here's part 3 of the ongoing saga that is Jonathan and Quinn from Zoned Out. Enjoy. Real or fake?
Real or fake what?
Yeah. What?
Christmas trees.
Oh, Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Christmas trees.
Okay.
We had a fake Christmas tree this year for the first time. This is my first time that my family had a fake one. But I can say that every single Christmas Eve since I was very, very little, we've been going to my Nona's house we do a bunch of different things that are like kind of ceremonial, just based off of my Italian culture of having tiramisu and espresso and just a gift exchange and just a whole bunch of things we do every year. But my Nona has for the longest time always had a fake tree, and she has had a fake tree for the convenience of it. So I'm definitely in support of the convenience that comes from a fake tree, especially for someone like my Nona who just doesn't have the strength to get a real tree going on inside of the living room.
Yeah,
and
makes sense.
For this Christmas, it was definitely significantly easier with a fake tree, not having to clean up the needles that are left behind and stuff like that. But man, do I enjoy a real tree inside of the room a lot more. It's really nice and quite fortunate that we can do that. I love a real tree a lot more compared to a fake one. Yeah. But the convenience, definitely a factor.
Yeah.
I'm going to say if fake trees never get decommissioned and they're always like upcycled or like passed down to different people and like sold at Goodwill or secondhand stores like that, and if that were really the case, we wouldn't really need to be constructing fake trees every year. We'd already have enough for everybody, more or less. But like if that was the case, which I don't really think it is. I think that fake trees continually are made and sold and bought and whatnot, and some are thrown away. If that was the case, then I would say, okay, fake trees, I'm on board because of the convenience and whatnot. But honestly, I think that just for like the case of like what's better for the environment, I feel like a real tree, although you might at first think like you're cutting down a tree, is that not bad? I feel like the amount of plastic that's in a fake tree is probably significantly worse than cutting down one tree, like the tree equivalent. So there's that, and which is like the main reason why I'm picking a real tree. And a real tree is just better, like generally smells better, looks better. I mean, other than that, what else are you looking for in a tree, really? Like, yeah, so real tree.
See, as much as I try to make a joke with this question, I really find that it does bring out a lot of thought from people. And I did an interview with one of my friends, Jay Kemp. If you guys got a chance to watch that one, have a look. He's a very interesting guy. And he brought forward the idea that it takes 20 years to grow a Christmas tree to the point where it's good to be cut down. But you can get a fake tree and use it for 50 years. And it's a very valid point. You can get scents that smell similar to a Christmas tree.
A candle.
Yeah, a candle. I don't want to name names, but there are companies that produce wax products that you can melt and burn or whatever. Incense, perhaps. And they have the aroma of a real tree. So from a I mean, I don't want to kill a tree just for the sake of killing a tree and having it in my living room to watch its rotting carcass fall apart, right? I mean, that just seems like a nasty way to do things. But I'm kind of, we've had both. I like real trees, but convenience wise, the fake tree is the way to go. I mean, you put it away, it's in a box for 11 months, and then you bring it out when you're ready, and nobody has to give up their life to have it in your living room, or to stand up for a month in your living room. So it's certainly a moral question, I guess, right?
I think if I was like living alone and trying to, like, if I needed a tree, I would probably, like, first thing I would do is look for a used, like, either on like Kijiji, Facebook Marketplace, or like Value Village or Goodwill or whatever, a fake tree that was in decent shape and used. That would be my first choice, because like you said, I could just keep reusing it.
Yeah.
But I definitely wouldn't buy a new one.
No. Well, and the problem with getting a used real tree is they suck. Anyway, if you guys could have one do-over in life, one chance to do something that you maybe screwed up or you enjoyed it more than anything else that you've done for a long time, what would it be?
My do-over is I wouldn't change where I am now, but I'd like to redo like high school courses that I chose, and choose different courses. I really wish I could have done film class, computer programming, photography, or like random weird things that I would just really enjoy in the moment. And even though I don't think that I think that it's probably extremely difficult to gather together a career inside of some of those things, but I wouldn't change where I am, but I'd still want to go back and just do some of the cool courses like construction. I never got to do construction, and I would have loved to do construction or anything that has to do with auto, because as it is now, I know nothing about cars. I wish I could have just tinkered around with engines.
They don't teach how to get out of snow, though.
They don't teach how to get out of snow, eh? Yeah, they don't teach how to put the car in drive.
No, you're supposed to know that.
You're supposed to know that one.
I mean, I couldn't even park, which is arguably more important. So
the D doesn't stand for duh. So
the dad jokes.
Yeah, thank you. All right, well, that's a good answer. I mean, you could certainly alter your course in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Jonathan?
Honestly, nothing came to mind at first, but Quinns Idea, I like Quinns Idea. I like going back and doing things that, like, opportunities you might have missed out on. Like I can relate to that. I didn't take a communications course or like a like video editing course or anything like that, but I think I would have enjoyed it, and I think it would have been helpful for just in general to have that knowledge. But I mean, it's not like I can't do it right now. It's just I'm not in exactly the same situation of it being like part of the I would have more of a reason to do it back then, I guess, than I do now, because I'm already preoccupied with all these other things. So but I mean, honestly, what Quinn said about him not wanting to change where he is right now, I agree with that. And I think that, I mean, I don't see how you can go back and change anything without the consequence being the current circumstances being different. I would probably just accept the current circumstances if they were different. If my other alternate reality self that had lived a different who had taken that communications course would probably be sitting here now at 12:31 on the 14th of February,
Valentine's Day.
Barely even realized, but anyway.
That's right, ladies. He's single.
Yes.
Don't worry about it. It'll come. It'll happen.
Well, sure. I will. I'm not gonna worry about it. Anyway, like I was saying, just matter of principle. I don't want to change anything because I 100% accept the current situation.
That's fair. Yeah, you don't have to change anything, but would you go back to experience something again, to enjoy it again?
Yes.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. If I could just be placed in that situation and experience it all over again, I might do one or two of these things like 100 times over if I had the option. Like,
yeah,
I think Quinn relates. Like, I think that Quinn and I are both blessed. Like some people, although no one's really like supposed to experience their prime in high school, I think that some people just have a crappy time in high school, and I mean, it does make sense. There's only so many people you can connect with in a high school because, like, you're limited to wherever you're. It's not. That being said, I think that Quinn and I had a generally good high school experience, and I think that we're lucky for that. And I think that some of those memories would be really fun to relive. But I mean, honestly, if it's a question of changing something, I just want to be able to do stuff now that I missed out on because of, this outbreak situation, this pandemic. And I obviously want all those people who died to not have died. But that's the main thing. But just looking at it from how it affects my life, just egocentrically, let's say.
Yeah.
I would love to have been able to this past summer actually have gone out with Quinn and the rest of our friend group and like gone clubbing because we're old enough now, like gone dancing, just got up to mischief. We missed out on. It's not like the opportunity has came and passed. We're still young. We're still in our biological prime. We can still do this. But I mean, just thinking about what we missed out on this past summer, just disappointing. I so badly wanted to, just in the years coming up of turning 19, like just said to myself, like, oh, once I'm old enough, I'm gonna go to nightclubs. I'm gonna like bust a move, and I'm gonna just enjoy myself and just enjoy
normalcy.
Normalcy, yeah, but just that experience of like partying, I guess.
Have fun.
Have fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Being one of the tribe.
Right?
Yeah.
Shake your bootay. All right, so excellent answers, guys. I'm enjoying what you're saying. Favorite binge TV show? And I got to say this before we go any further. Your answers are refreshing because the people that I've had on up to this point on my show, for the most part, are older people. But to get the voice of a different generation, a younger generation, it's interesting to see. To be honest, what you just said about, going out and experiencing clubbing and experiencing social life and all that kind of stuff, it's not that different from what older people say, to be honest with you.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants to bust a move and shake the booty, don't they?
Well, I never wanted to bust a move so much, and now I don't because I'd probably likely bust a hip. But but it's good to hear where you're coming from with that. So, favorite binge show?
In a heartbeat, I know what mine is. Like this is the classic. This is my favorite piece of media.
Give her.
I think.
Let's hear it.
It's the show that Quinn mentioned like a few minutes ago, Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's a Nickelodeon cartoon, and it aired, like, I think it started airing sometime in the 2000s, and it carried over to like maybe it stopped in 2012 or 2013 or something like that. Anyway, it follows the story of this boy and these two other children who are traveling on this like flying creature, and they're trying to find teachers for the protagonist, who is the Avatar. And what that means is he's able to manipulate the 4 elements. They're not really elements like how you might think elements are. It's just like fire, water, earth, air. Like let's say like Eastern traditional idea of elements. Before we knew anything about chemistry.
Yeah.
Anyway, he is the Avatar. What makes him the Avatar is he's like a line of reincarnations. He's the same like person, although he doesn't have any memory of his past lives, at least until he learns who he is and starts like meditating and connecting with his past lives and stuff. He is the only person in the world with this ability to control all these elements, and other people can either only control one or control none, and they're born into one of the 4 like main tribes that populate that live in the earth: the water tribe, the air tribe, earth tribe, fire tribe. And anyway, there is the Fire Nation is like is attempting to it's this imperialistic nation that is attempting to invade the other nations and like dominate the earth, basically. So they're supposed to be like the show is really influenced by like the history of like Eastern culture and Eastern, like the history of Asian countries, and the Fire Nation is supposed to be representative of traditional Japan and like just like feudal Japan, like hundreds of years ago, and they're trying to dominate other countries and like, you know, expand their empire type thing. Like picture the Roman Empire would do that too, like trying to expand their power. Yeah. And he's trying to maintain balance and make sure that this war ends. And it just like follows his growth and follows like all these characters that have amazing arcs, and the creators of the show, they just like they work in all these like life lessons through the one of the main characters they use to really like to work in the life lessons and very important things for children to learn is the character Uncle Iroh, who's the uncle of the antagonist, who goes through a redemption arc and becomes one of the good guys.
Huh.
Every arc has a different antagonist. He's the antagonist in the first arc, and there's a different antagonist in the second season, and the third season has a different antagonist. But anyway, this character's redemption arc is like amazing. The writing of the show is like legendary for a Nickelodeon show. Is absolutely amazing. I couldn't recommend it more. It's just so awesome.
Interesting.
And it's funny. I mean, it is for kids, but the themes they explore are really like sometimes they push the edge of what a child is expected to understand. But I mean, even if all they're instilling in these children is subconscious, it's still great what they put in the show. So yeah, that's my binge show. It's really just like a part of my childhood at this point.
That's fair. Quinn?
My show is Kenny versus Spenny.
You like that show? I've never watched it, but
I love Kenny versus Spenny, man.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh man. I remember when it used to be on Netflix a while ago. Had been taken off for a while. But when it was on Netflix, I think I was in grade 8 or 7. And that was one of the first shows that I seriously binged as a kid. And I think that a lot of shows I've binged over time, but that was one of the moments where I realized what it meant to binge something. And I enjoyed it so thoroughly when I first watched it. For those of you who are watching and don't know, Kenny versus Spenny are 2 guys from Canada. They would film their show in Toronto. The premise of the show was that every week there would be a competition between 2 guys, one guy named Kenny and the other named Spenny, and they would compete, and that's it.
But what kind of competitions were there?
So
because it was
I can name so
many. Like I say, I never watched it, but I understood the premise of it. It was like I'm not saying this was one, but let's say it was like who can hold a mole down their pants the longest or something like that, right?
A mole?
You know, a small ant. I'm not saying this was one of the...
They did that, but with their own poo in a diaper. They had to shit themselves in a diaper and see who could keep the diaper on the longest.
So it was similar to a Jackass kind of thing then?
Yeah. They definitely took a lot off after like Jackass. They did some crazy stuff. But what the reason I like the show is because of the dynamic between the 2 guys. I think they've known each other for forever and they were just good friends, but they were friends in a very clashing way. The guy named Kenny, he would just make Spenny's life miserable, and it's hard to use their names because they sound so similar. But this guy Kenny is a genius. Like, just he outsmarts and like does so many different things to mess with Spenny that at points during the show, what they end up getting at, like the deeper psychological thing that's going on in the show for a trick to be made, is so much more enriching of a concept that I would have ever expected to get from the show. There's been a couple moments on the show where I've realized that there's a paradox at play, a social paradox that's like intertwined in a loop of just realizing what's going on behind some of these things is very interesting. And then at the same time, the show's hilarious to me in the same way that some men find farting hilarious, I feel like.
No, I'm kidding.
I mean, in that same silly sense that a guy would think that a fart is funny is the way that I think Kenny versus Spenny is funny. It's just this ridiculous show with just the most obnoxious, weird things going on. And yet I find it extremely amusing and funny.
Yeah, that's good. That's fair. Yeah. I'll maybe check it out. Not so much with my wife and daughter, but I'll check it out.
Oh, I want to mention a couple other shows though. I'm sorry. Because there's some that are just like, I love these shows.
Hold on, though, before you do, Jonathan, you wanted to add something to Kenny versus Spenny?
I was going to say that the same logic of like at first glance it being some sort of like foolish childlike competition, but then you realize that, oh, there's psychological manipulation at play, and the tactics they're using to win are really like sometimes they're sophisticated, sometimes they're scary. That logic I feel like applies to Impractical Jokers. If you ever
I love those guys.
When I watch that, some of the things they get people to do, I think to myself, like, these men, especially Joe.
Joe's nuts.
They're master hypnotists. Like, it's not even a joke. They're master hypnotists. They're masters of suggestion. They can like implant an idea in someone's head and get them to do X thing. I mean, obviously it doesn't work all the time because they don't put they put only the stuff that's interesting in the show.
They don't put the ones where the person failed.
But even so, some of the things that they get people to do are just like extremely impressive, like, and it's scary even. I remember watching it with my cousin. We were discussing like the implications of all the stuff that they're able to get people to do, and he is taking sociology in his undergrad, and he's taking this class called Altered States, where they talk about hypnotism and suggestion and how it is like it's real. It's not like it's not magic, but it is real. It's not. It does exist, and it is possible to, if you're working with someone, especially if they're like susceptible and willing to be worked with, for you to suggest for them to do something and then them to believe something and get them to believe it. Like, for example, the majority of people can be suggested to believe that an unlit candle is lit. That's just an example, and they will 100% believe it if the person hypnotizing them has enough time to work with and work, like, implant the suggestion, let's say. But like these Impractical Jokers, there's an episode where he's burying something, and then the person who's helping them eventually realizes that it's a body, but keeps helping them.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
Like,
but they also put themselves in embarrassing situations too. It's not just getting other people involved.
Yeah.
Like my favorite one was where Joe failed. He was the loser of the day kind of thing. And he had to go to the washroom in a place that had no door on the washroom or something. I can't remember the full thing behind it, but he had to open the door and ask for toilet paper in the middle of a coffee house.
Yeah,
a coffee shop.
I know, I've seen it.
It was hilarious.
It was
just zero like inhibition.
He doesn't experience shame. He isn't a shameful man or embarrassed.
Yeah.
He can't get embarrassed, apparently.
I'd love to get him on because he does a lot of work with shelters for animals. I'd love to have him as a guest one day and just talk to him about what he does with that and touch on the TV show. But a lot of these guys, they're not allowed to talk about their TV shows. Are you familiar with the show Oak Island? The Curse of Oak Island? It's basically, Oak Island is an island off of the coast of Nova Scotia. And they believe that the Knights Templar, you've heard of them?
Mm-hmm.
They buried millions of dollars worth of treasure on this island. And we're talking things like the Ark of the Covenant, the
Holy Grail.
Exactly. That's one of the things that they believe is buried there.
Yeah.
And they've been doing this. Obviously, I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but they found a lot of evidence that there is something buried there, but they just haven't got to it yet. So they're in the process of it.
All right, let's get the dynamite.
Well, you would think, but yeah, you still want to have an island to stand on when you're done, right? But I got in touch with one of the members of that show, and they replied nicely, very nicely, and they said, unfortunately, we're not allowed to. We have to sign waivers that says we won't talk about the show. So we'll see. I haven't reached out to him yet, but he seems like a kind of guy that would respond, you know.
Sounds like.
Anyway, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway,
I'm gonna go to that island.
What's that?
I'm gonna go to that island.
You can't. It's a private island, and they have it shut off now. Yeah.
Oh.
Get your scuba gear on and walk across.
Yeah.
So, Quinn, you were saying, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna shout out Trailer Park Boys, another Canadian show that's phenomenal.
It's amazing. I love it.
And they got congratulations to them ever since getting picked up by Netflix. Like, they're probably well set off now. So, you know, good to those boys, and shout out to Nova Scotia for sure. I have relatives out in Nova Scotia, been there myself. Man,
beautiful, isn't it?
Just
beautiful,
just breathtaking, that place.
Yeah.
So definitely shout out Nova Scotia. And I was also going to make an anime recommendation for a show. I figured I'd break that one in two, of Samurai Champloo. Champloo spelled CHAM Ploo, PLOO. It's literally just samurai guys with hip hop beats in the background. Just cool stuff, man. They're just going about and don't care. There's a plot, but it's just fun to watch. The artwork's nice, and good TV show.
It's like 18th/19th century feudal Japan, and then they're like having their duels with other samurai and Ronin and like whoever, and there's hip hop in the background, and nice. It's just like, it's awesome.
It's dope.
They were defending themselves against the Wu-Tang Clan. Maybe, I don't know.
There is an episode where they do get high.
Oh, is there? Nice.
Yes.
I don't know. Why would you associate that with the Wu-Tang Clan? I don't know. Anyway, moving on. I have found a show on the Disney network that you guys might enjoy. I don't know if you're into this kind of thing, but it's definitely, it leads to a bunch of things that we've talked about, and that is WandaVision. Now, a lot of people have been giving this show a hard time because it takes a few episodes. I think it's like 3 episodes before you kind of go, oh, that's where they're going with this. But it's a really good show. And I don't know if you're familiar with what the concept is, but the Avengers, right? Everybody knows the Avengers because they've marketed the hell out of it. But 2 characters in the Avengers, it's a spin-off from that. I don't want to say any more, but if you get a chance, WandaVision. Yeah, Wanda is I think they call her the Scarlet Witch or something like that.
Her and Ultron, or not
her
Ultron? Timeline Lord, Captain Marvel.
No,
what's his name?
Vision. His name is Vision.
Vision. Wanda.
Vision. Yeah.
Vision. But it's set around a TV show. It's really weird to begin with, but give it a few episodes and it's like, oh, that's what's happening. And it makes you wonder, okay, where are they going next? And it really hooks you in. So give it a look. I don't know. Maybe it's not your thing, but I like it.
Thank you for the recommendation.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you, guys. Part of the thing that I want to do with these questions is to introduce people to other parts of the world, let's say, that they may not have heard of. I think with this whole pandemic, we've been stuck in this situation where streaming services have become vitally important. They're lifesavers, right? So why not expand? What's that?
Is that Escape Media?
Yeah, but why not expand your vision and take the blinders off and stop watching Sons of Anarchy or the stuff that everybody watches, The Sopranos. Great shows, don't get me wrong, but what was it?
Samurai
Champloo. Who knew, right? There's a show on Netflix. It's called oh man, it's an anime show, and I can't remember the name of it, unfortunately. But it's all about and you might like this, Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about cells.
Cells at work.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Have you watched
the first episode. I saw the first episode, then I was like, I can't suspend my disbelief long. Like, I can't. Like, it's great. It's, let's say, like 50% accurate.
It's an anime, right? It's a cartoon.
Yeah.
But all right. So, do either of you play a musical instrument? No.
I mean,
I like to sing, but I have never had any training or anything. I just like it.
Your voice can be an instrument, right?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I tried playing like guitar when I was a kid and piano, and just nothing panned out.
Nothing, eh? It's about, I guess, with anything, what you're willing to put into it. And I'm not saying you didn't put enough effort in, but well, then there you go. That kind of justifies my statement, right?
Yeah.
But I taught myself to play guitar.
Let's go. Nice.
Yeah. I've got a 12 string staring right at me now as I'm speaking.
Oh yeah.
No, don't worry.
Did you ever go back and like learn the theory, or you're good, like, you know, or did you teach yourself the theory? Like, how did you go about teaching yourself?
I just grabbed a guitar and learned 3 chords, and with the 3 chords you can play a lot of songs.
Oh, okay.
And from there I go to this website called guitartabs.ca or .com, and basically it illustrates where you put your fingers in order to get the sounds.
Oh, I see, yeah.
And
it's like Guitar Hero.
Yeah, but real.
Yeah.
And yeah, I basically, like last night, I learned 2 songs by the Tragically Hip. So, you know.
Wait, by who?
Tragically Hip.
Nice.
Yeah. That's going off your like last guest, who was.
Yeah, I mean, I've liked some of their music. I'm not a big fan of the Hip. I've got to be honest. I'm more of a, like, U2 is my favorite band. I've been since I was a kid. I'm a big fan of Big Wreck. I don't know if you're familiar with Big Wreck.
Can't say I know who Big Wreck is, but
that sounds vague.
Great music. Great music. If you get a chance, just have a listen, give them a chance, and, you know, hear some of their stuff.
I will 100% do that.
Yeah. But I at the same time, I like stuff like Dean Martin, and I like Glenn Miller. Now you're looking like you're saying, who the hell are they?
I know Dean Martin is. Come on.
Dean Martin was one of the Rat Pack, sang with Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. Amazing voice on this guy. He's Italian. I think he was anyway. Napoli, where love is king. You all right? Stay with us. Don't go to the light. Anyway. No, but he said he was out in the 50s, 60s kind of thing. I mean, he had a long career, but I mean, that was his prime. But yeah, I've got a wide spectrum of music that I like and that I play too. So it's just the ability to have an instrument that you can play means that you can entertain yourself wherever you go and wherever you are, right? One of my other instruments that I play is the drums. And that you can do anywhere. So yeah. Favorite band. Now we're talking about that.
Okay, Quinn, I'll let you go first. I think I think I know instantly, but I want to hear what you have to say here.
You think you know my favorite band?
No, I think I know what mine is. I think I know what mine is. I don't think I know what yours is.
Go ahead with yours, because I'm not entirely sure what mine is.
Okay, you keep thinking then. You keep thinking. Mine has got to be this, I believe, New York City based independent psychedelic rock band called Crumb.
Crumb.
And
there seems to be agreement in the room.
They have a really unique sound, and I just really like that. I really like their lyrics are great, the sound is great, they're unique, and it's just like I really like the mood that it invokes. Just for me personally, I feel like people can probably relate to it, like right to what I'm talking about, like just relaxing, and I don't know, it's like it's a unique experience listening to them, and it is definitely an experience. So I really recommend that you check them out if you're able. Crumb, really good. Some of their greatest hits, Plants, Locket, Nina, and Ghost Ride. I like all of those.
Ghost Ride?
Ghost Ride.
Now, when you say psychedelic rock, do you have to be chemically induced?
No, not at all.
All right, to enjoy them? No. Would you agree with that?
It might make it way more enjoyable, but you don't have to.
No, okay.
I think generally, I mean, I only know so much, but I think that's the general idea. That the general idea, I mean, is like if you are chemically induced, you probably will enjoy lots of different music types more than you would normally. Because it's because everything's new. If you're in an altered state of mind, it's just like
it'd be a different experience, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Quinn?
I find it difficult to answer this one, man. I mean, I listen to a wide range of different types of music.
Yeah.
And as a result, I just find that it's weird for me to think of it in the context of a band, because much of the music I listen to is an artist.
Well, and by band, I mean, it could be, I don't know, I'm just throwing this name out there. I don't know why. I really don't know why, but Michael Jackson. It doesn't have to be like U2 or the Glenn Miller Orchestra or like a band. It could be an individual artist. I don't know.
Chopin.
Maybe are you into Katy Perry or Shakira or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Shakira's the first and Katy Perry's the second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair.
Completely joking. But my like artists that come to mind are things that I got into when I was younger. I hated rap. I hated everything that had to do with rap. And I think that was because my idea of rap was rap on the radio. And I despised rap on the radio.
Yeah.
And even to this day, I don't like rap on the radio. But I was so removed from a completely different culture of rap that I would actually enjoy. And I was introduced to rap like pretty late, like as far as the stuff that I actually like now. But some artists that I particularly enjoy include Joey Badass. Yeah, that's his name, right?
He's really stopped trying with these names. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, some of the names are quite interesting, to say the least.
Joey Badass?
Yeah, it actually stands for Joey before the money, because the S's at the end are money signs, and you can put B4 and spell it like differently.
Okay.
But regardless, most people, the actual spelling of the name doesn't insinuate that meaning. So most people would just be like, why the hell are you calling yourself Joey Badass? That's such a weird name, but that's his name.
All right.
And
title.
Yeah, it is a title. I think that a lot of his praise for his music came from his very first studio album, which is called 1999. And it's one of my favorite albums ever. But I think that the reason that I enjoy him so much, and particularly that album, is because it introduced me to the intricacy of language applied in rap, and these crazy ways that people can weave together words that rhyme and at the same time deliver meaning, especially in points where it delivers meaning that you wouldn't even get unless you investigate the sentence or investigate what they're actually trying to say. And I think that art form and putting together these words with a certain way of going about using them in this melodic sense is quite literally an art form. And I, over time, have come to appreciate rap significantly for that. But at the same time that I have an appreciation slightly for that type of rap, I also like the weird mainstream type of rap too. Yeah. That is, people would consider thoughtless and nothing more than just random mumbling into a microphone. And I even enjoy some of that too. But aside from the popular things, I heavily enjoy jazz music. I listen to jazz often. I love the Oscar Peterson trio, Bill Evans, Miles Davis, Lester B. What's his last name? I forget his last name.
Not Pearson.
Pearson?
No, not Pearson. No. Lester B. Pearson?
Okay, never mind. I forget this guy's name.
No.
I can look it up, but either way, I really enjoy jazz music. And me and Jonathan have enjoyed classical piano music for a time as well. We all went, a bunch of us, me and Jonathan and some friends included, went down to Toronto to see an orchestra at one time too, a performance of just classical pieces. So definitely like and enjoy a lot of classical stuff too.
It's beautiful, isn't it? To hear an orchestra, not put on a record, but to hear a live orchestra, the feeling and the emotion that those instruments, like, I get goosebumps thinking about it on my cheeks.
It's wonderful. One of the things I was recently exposed to that I had wish I'd known about for so long was what's his name? I think it's John Wayne's interpretation of War on the Worlds. Or I think Wayne? That's let me make sure that
the actor John Wayne.
Let me see.
You know the history behind that, right? The War of the Worlds.
I'm referring to a book. I just learned about it. So,
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Jeff Wayne, not John Wayne. I apologize.
Okay. Well, the War of the Worlds is a book, and it was read on the radio way, way back in the 50s or 60s, I think. It may have even been longer than that, by an actor named Orson Welles. And he read it as if it was a news report. And they acted it out. And it literally sent certain parts of the U.S. into panic because his depiction and portrayal of, or the story was so intense that they believed that it was actually happening. So talking about hypnotists, right? And getting people to believe shit that isn't there necessarily. He sent certain parts in the US into panic because of the way he read this story on air, on the radio. Check it out if you do some research into that if you like. I mean, it's an interesting thing.
I've heard similar things just from this album, Jeff Wayne's musical interpretation of War of the Worlds, because it's an album with a bunch of different musicians that are used to actually redo the story War of the Worlds, but in a music form. So a lot of it is an experience where this guy's like actually narrating the story, but then there's songs that attribute certain things about it and everything, and it goes through the entire story and makes it its own, which is really cool. But the person I had learned it from was a YouTuber named the Mercurial Number 6, an interesting fellow from I think he's from Britain, and he's basically just on his YouTube channel, he's just listening to music on vinyl and commenting on it and basically making it an experience.
I wonder how he gets away with that.
He just buys the vinyl and does whatever he wants. He does his own kind of like thing over it. I wonder how he gets away with it.
If you're doing a critique, it's under fair use.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, this guy is interesting, and he did this War of the Worlds experience, which is what introduced me to the album. But he said something, as you just said, where Orson Welles is saying this over the radio and people are actually thinking it's real and that it's scary and Martians are taking over the world. But inside of this album, apparently that had the same effect, where people back when this album was made, which was in the 70s, I think, they would listen to the album and genuinely like feel terrified because it's talking about all these different things about aliens taking over, and it has sound effects of aliens and stuff like that. And apparently that whole concept and everything delivered in a musical form was enough to terrify people.
Yeah.
And thinking about it now, from my perspective, it is very odd because I would just never get terrified by something like that. I would just enjoy the music. And even for video games, Jonathan knows this, but as far as horror games used to go, I used to play horror games with the intent of beating them as fast as humanly possible. Like, I am playing this video game not as it is intended to be played. I'm trying to break the video game and beat the entire thing in a shorter time than is allowed at all if you were to play it normally. And the games I would be playing were extremely scary horror games. But
Scario?
No, the one I'm referring to right now in my mind is Outlast. But
We'll know it.
It's a terrifying game. If somebody from the 70s was afraid of this War of the Worlds album, if they played Outlast, they would die. Like, this thing is terrifying. Jonathan, like,
if someone who didn't know what the internet was played Outlast, or had never been on the internet played Outlast, like, their mind would be a level of blown that we probably can't fathom, because like we've never experienced it.
But they'd have to be able to play the game though, which is like they'd have to know how to use like a controller.
That's true. There would definitely be a learning curve. There would definitely be a learning curve.
Well, you could express to them to fuck with their head kind of thing. You could say, okay, you're controlling a person by using this.
Yeah. Right? They think it's real, and it is horrifying.
Wow.
VR. You could use VR, then the learning curve of controlling it is pretty much gone because VR is really simple. And that would break them. They would believe they were in another world.
Have you tried that VR? Like the real VR? How is it?
Really good.
Wow. Is it?
Yes, it is. It is like another level of immersion. Like, to move your head and have the camera move exactly at the same time that you're moving your head, and it's like you're in this virtual environment. Like, it removes another level of disconnection between you and whatever story is being told, or whatever's happening to this character. It's like you like, whenever you're consuming media, you start to relate to the character, right? But you can relate to the character, the person you're controlling, to another level now, because it's almost like, it's become the reality that you find yourself in. Obviously, it's not perfect by any means, but it's definitely significantly better than playing on a console and just having the controller in your hands and watching it move. To move your head and be looking around in this world, and move your hands and have their hands move and pick things up, especially if you use like a treadmill where you can run and it moves the character, because that exists too. Or like you use gloves where you can feel the sensation of picking things up and stuff like that. That technology is coming as well. Like that, I haven't tried those, but that would be even crazier. And I can imagine, like, there's a popular game called Subnautica where you explore like you explore an alien planet that's just covered with water.
Are you Matthew McConaughey in this game?
Nope, you've crash landed.
Again, this could be Interstellar. What was
well, I guess you're right. It could be, but once you actually learn how the story is being told, you realize that you got shot down by this alien weaponry, because their goal is to have no one enter alive and no one exit alive, because this planet has this plague, this bacterial plague that's like killing everything. And it killed all of there was intelligent life, but it killed all of them. And it's just like the ruins of that civilization. But anyway, there are humongous like leviathans in this water that you're exploring, and you can play this game in VR. So like, if by some very unlucky event the person from the 70s was afraid of the ocean, or like, and they played this VR game, I think it might kill them. I think it might kill them.
System overload.
Yeah.
Well, again, see, and this is why we're talking here, to bring up things like that so that people can look into it, right? So, best concert you've ever attended?
I'm gonna say what the Toronto Philharmonic Orchestra performing Chopin's Piano Symphony No. 2 and Schubert Schubert's Dream, I think, maybe, or maybe his something. That is what they were performing. Like that was the program, and it's pretty well like the only concert I've been to. So what else can I choose? I haven't been to many concerts, unfortunately.
Yeah, and nowadays it's tough too as well.
Yeah.
You would be the same, or you got a different one?
I got a different one.
What's that?
I had.
Was it the Wiggles?
Oh my God, you got it.
Tupi and Binu live.
Tupi and Bino live. Dude, don't even get me started. Tupi and Bino that's a good show.
That was my daughter's first concert.
Tupi, Binu, Binu,
Yeah.
Wait, was it actually?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We took her to see them at shit, where was it? It might have been the Aaron Mills Town Center, I think. Yeah.
I don't know where that is.
Can't say I know where that is, but
it's in Mississauga, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but anyway, go ahead. What was your favorite concert?
Yeah, so there's like a slight story behind it as to why it inevitably became my favorite concert. I went to go see Tyler, the Creator.
Okay.
And you know Tyler, the Creator?
I know of him. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
He's not on my playlist, but you know.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I've been listening to him for a while, not when he had first became famous, but a little bit after. And then his album that he was performing at this concert was called Flower Boy. And I encourage people to listen to this album. I think it's a really good album, in my opinion. And so he was performing this album, and the person who was opening for him was Vince Staples. And I am also a great fan of Vince Staples. So it was a nice concert already off the bat, considering that the opening performance was an artist I really liked, and the main performance was an artist I really, really liked. And of course, this guy, Tyler, the Creator, is immensely famous. And as a result, the energy that was going on in Toronto, like at this concert, was quite surreal. And so going to the concert on its own was already great. But when I got there, I went with a friend of mine, and we were located we were at the bleachers of like whatever stands there are in this arena. And we were sitting we were looking at the stage sideways, basically. So we couldn't see, we were kind of blocked off from some of the main parts of the set because of all the giant speakers and setup and whatnot. So we couldn't see too much, but we still had decent seats, but it wasn't ideal. There was a friend of, there were two girls who are friends of me and my buddy who went to this concert, and they had tickets inside of the general admission area. So inside of this mosh pit. And the one girl who was there was feeling sick, and she was feeling sick like she couldn't stay inside of the mosh pit, and the show hadn't started yet. So me and my friend were at the bleachers watching getting ready for the concert and whatnot. And he was communicating with her through his phone. And when he found out that she was she wanted to get out of general admission and just stay at the bleachers, my friend told me, he was like, go for it, man. Like, she was going to switch the tickets. And he's like, you know what, man, go for it. This was meant to be. Go ahead and go into general admission. So I paid for a regular experience, but got to go into general admission and go up literally just feet from one of my favorite artists, and just a wild experience.
That must have been a lot of fun. Yeah.
It was a really good time.
Right on. Good time. Okay, so my last question of these 17 questions is, now you guys are young. Oh, you have something you want to add there, Jonathan? Or
nope.
You're just making a fist fight the power? Oh, I wanted to say this. If you guys are into rap, consider where it came from as a source of entertainment. People, and I'm talking, pardon?
Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm talking about acts like Public Enemy. If you haven't heard of Public Enemy, because it's not from your era, check them out. I had the good luck of meeting the the head artist, the front man, and I guess, for Public Enemy. And these guys, when they were singing or doing their shows, they came across as very, very, very angry people, like very angry and aggressive people. But I met this guy and he was such a nice guy. It was so weird for me. So then I went back and I revisited, this was a couple of years ago, I revisited Public Enemy, and I never liked them. I was like you when I was younger. I didn't have any interest in rap at all. But I went back and I listened to them, and some of their music is just incredible. And the lyrics, such a strong message, like strong message. So give it a look if you can, if you want. I don't know. Maybe you want to, maybe you don't.